11:35, TSN 690. It's Game Night OT. I'm Matthew Ross. He's Mo Khan, Stefano Micella, and Marco Polo also in studio. We're here till 1 a.m. And as we spoke about earlier, we'll get to some Canadian basketball here in this segment. Our next guest is no stranger to these airwaves. You can hear him on the morning show Thursdays. You know that he represented this country as well at the Olympic Games. Former professional basketball player as well. You can follow him on twitter.com/bballinsider. It is Dwight Walton. How you doing, Dwight?
Good evening, Matthew. How you doing today?
I am well. Dwight, thank you so much for staying awake. I know you're an early riser, so I appreciate you hanging around.
No problem. That is my pleasure.
Now, Dwight, first of all, in case the listeners didn't know, you were recently in Toronto working with the national team. How was that?
No, it was fun. Camp started on Sunday morning. I arrived there Saturday night, hung out with some of the guys, met with some of the coaching staff, practiced twice on Sunday, practiced twice on Monday. I came back yesterday. I had to go back to work today. But all in all, it was a good weekend. Got to see some nice talent. Got to hang out with some friends, some former teammates, some former Olympians. Had a great time, and it's just cool to get back together with guys that they used to play with, and just to be in that atmosphere. Like I said, with all that talent, you can't help but get energized, re-energized, and get focused on the task at hand and trying to help lead these guys get back to where they belong, and that's in the Olympics in 2016, and maybe a far-fetched proposition at this point, but we are trying to get there, and hopefully this trip that's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks will be a part of that process going forward.
Now, Dwight, two questions. You mentioned there were practices. Did you try and horn in and practice yourself and run the floor? And the second question is, it's sort of an informal role or an advisory role. What were you doing there?
I'm just first of all, my professional playing days at that level are over. I do still play a lot, but not at that level by any means. And I'm just there. It's not even an advisory role. Does Jay Triano, the head coach, does Rowan Barrett and Steve Nash ask me my opinion? They absolutely do. And I feel honored that they do respect my opinion. But I'm just there as a supporter of the program, as a former member of the national team, and just being an alumni, being a voice, being a friend. Just showing the young cats that we are still around, and we're a part of the program, and we just want to be as positive as we can. So they do ask my opinion, but as of right now, I don't have an official spot with the program. But I would love to in the future. Of course, I want to be asked going forward. Yes.
Dwight, 4 years ago, watching Team Canada play overseas at the World Championships, their numbers were pulling off their jerseys. It was an utter embarrassment to watch Team Canada because it was the lowest of basketball. Mm-hmm. How important is it for this group of players when they go on their European trip to really show that, hey, we're about to become a power nation in international basketball for years to come with this golden generation of ball players?
Yeah, Mo, that's a very good question, Mo. And with this group, it is unfortunate that some of the guys that are going on this trip may not be a part of the team going forward. A lot of the NBA guys that we were hoping would be on this trip weren't available for various reasons. Of course, you've heard about the insurance issues, NBA players under contract. Not even I know about this whole situation. That whole insurance NBA thing is a very tricky proposition that I'm trying to become more abreast of. I wish we had some of our better players going on this trip, but some of the guys that are definitely going on this trip are going to have a chance to enhance their professional careers going forward. This trip, not even I have experienced this kind of a trip. Some of the teams that they're playing against, Italy, Croatia, Serbia, Slovenia, Ukraine, Georgia, who else? Turkey. They're playing against Angola. This trip, That's going to be finishing up on August 11th. Their first game is this Thursday against Slovenia. They're playing 11 games in a 2.5-week span. It's a fantastic trip. A lot of the guys that we have, they are a part of the process, part of the program. They're on a list of players that we would like to see play internationally. But until we have our full NBA roster, it's going to be kind of hard to fully understand how we're going to become a powerhouse in the future. Until we have our full roster of NBA players that we want to have, we want to put our best foot forward, obviously, in any international competition that we can. Unfortunately, on this trip, we're not going to have our best players, but this is also going to give a chance to the players that are on this trip a chance to perform internationally, give themselves some exposure, and help them get contracts overseas, quite frankly, going forward. It should be a very fun trip for those guys.
Dwight Walton joining us here on the program. B-Ball Insider on Twitter.com. Great follow if you love basketball. Now, Dwight, this leads us into the comments today by ESPN's Jason Whitlock, or yesterday rather. Obviously, some of this you take with a grain of salt because that's their job, is to say things that are a bit outlandish. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. I mean, they do it.
Value,
yeah, they do it to make sure there's enough clicks on their video. But that said, how offended were you in the comments that basically said that Canadians are too laid back, they don't have the intensity, and people in the NBA are talking about this? My take is, if that was actually true, if it wasn't utter garbage, then there's no way someone like Wiggins would be picked first. Neither Bennett the year before, or even ranked as a top 5 player, if any of that was true.
Well, I tell you what, Matthew, I watched Olbermann live last night, and my jaw hit the ground when I heard those comments out of Jason Whitlock. And this is somebody that I like. I follow. Some of his stuff is kind of over the top, I will admit that. But I respect him. I respect his opinion for the most part. Last night wasn't one of those times that I respected him. I took it personally. I know how hard I've had to work to become the professional basketball player that I did. I got a scholarship to the United States. I played at Siena College for 1 year, ended up graduating from Florida Tech, where I was a 3-time All-American. And I wouldn't have been a 3-time All-American if I didn't have the drive and determination to become a great player. I definitely took it personally. All Canadians should take it personally. I saw a tweet about Terry Fox today. If Terry Fox didn't display drive, determination, and courage, I don't know what that was. Terry Fox is one of our great Canadians from the past, present, and the future. We should all look up to this man. And it hurt. But of course, listen, it was done for shock value. He knows what he's doing. He's received the backlash on Twitter today, and I'm sure on all other forms of social media. But it was an ignorant statement. It's one of the reasons why I haven't even responded to it. I know I took it with a grain of salt. I know what he's trying to do, but at the same time, as a Canadian out of this country, obviously, it's a pride thing, and it hurt. But at the same time, we have to understand that's what Jason tries to do. It was for shock value. We have to listen to it, but at the same time, we don't have to respect it. And I'm going to take that point of view. I'm not going to respect what he said, but he is at the end of the day entitled to his opinion.
Dwight, in 5 years' time, when we speak again, Team Canada...
We'll talk before then.
We will. Team Canada basketball will be where in their development at that point?
Mo, hopefully our best players want to be a part of the program. It's as simple as that. If they have other commitments, if they don't commit themselves, let's bring the U.S. into this. When they lost back in the mid-2000s, they recognized that they just couldn't put together a team of all-stars in a 3-week period and win a tournament. Jerry Colangelo hired Coach Mike Krzyzewski out of Duke, one of the best coaches to ever coach of all time, and recognized that there had to be a 3-year commitment, even from the best NBA players, if they wanted to be dominant internationally and to become the world powerhouse that they've always been and that they have been in the recent years. That's the same type of commitment we need to have from our Canadian athletes in terms of basketball. We have to have our guys commit themselves to the program because international basketball is much, much different than it is to the NBA pro game. There's intricacies there that they have never experienced. A lot of our better players, our young players, don't have that much international experience, which is why it's very important over the next few years that these guys involve themselves in the program. If we don't get that commitment from these players, guys, it's going to be very difficult for us to get to where we want to be. Commitment is key. If we get that, we'll be okay going forward. If not, if we have to bring some of our above average or average talented players to any international competition, it's not going to be fruitful going forward. So we need to have that commitment, at least that 3-year commitment. Like you said, Mo, if in the next 5 years we can have this great conversation about how we're competing for medals. I don't want to be a top 10 country. I want to be a country that competes for medals. And if we want to get to that level, we have to have our best players commit to the program. We can't have guys play one summer and take the next 2 summers off. We have to have these players committed to our program for the next several years if we want to be mentioned with the powerhouses of the country, of the world in basketball.
Wow. I should have had the Canadian national anthem playing behind that soundbite. That was excellent, Dwight. All right, before we let you go, your thoughts on the latest with, of course, Kevin Love, Wiggins, Cleveland, and, of course, now the Bulls jumping into the mix. How much of a difference maker would Love be to both the Bulls and the Cavaliers?
Well, it sounds like half the league, Matthew, wants Kevin Love on their squad, and rightfully so. Anytime you have a player, albeit he's done it on non-playoff teams, anytime you have a player that as a coach, if you can pencil in 25, 26 points per night and 12, 13, 14 rebounds per night, you definitely want that type of player on your team. And Cleveland is doing everything at this point necessary to try to facilitate this trade, trying to get a third team involved. They acquired 3 players from Utah today. I believe it was who were the players again? It was John Lucas, Malcolm Thomas, and Eric Murphy from Utah. 3 players who have non-guaranteed expiring contracts to make this deal go forward. They got to get a third team involved. I believe the Timberwolves at this point are trying to get rid of Kevin Martin and J.J. Barea. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. Andrew Wiggins has to sign his contract tomorrow. Andrew Wiggins can't be traded for a month after he signs his contract. So there's a whole lot of delays in this thing. Of course, Golden State is willing to give up the farm to get this guy. David Lee, Klay Thompson, the other players involved in that deal. It's a crazy thing right now. But at the end of the day, I believe that Kevin Love is somehow going to end up in Cleveland. I know to see Andrew Wiggins and LeBron James and Anthony Bennett and all these other Canadians play together with LeBron James would be great, and that the ceiling of potential for Andrew Wiggins is great in the future. But by the time Andrew Wiggins fully develops into a superstar, LeBron James is going to be 33, 34, 35 years old. And I think he wants to add championships to his legacy, and he can't wait that long. So I think Kevin Love is going to be traded to Cleveland, but it's going to be a wait-and-see process right now. So there's going to be a whole lot of stuff you hear over the next couple of days.
Fascinating offseason for NBA this year. There's no doubt about that. He is Dwight Walton, B-Ball Insider on Twitter if you want to follow him there. Are you on the morning show this week, or are you on hiatus?
I haven't been told as of yet, but I'm sure with the Basketball Canada thing going on right now, they probably will have me on this Thursday morning, yes. All
right, Dwight, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.
No problem, guys. Have a great night.
All right, it is game night. OT here on TSN 690. We're here till 1 a.m. Up next here on the program, your Tweet 10 list with Stefano Michela. Stefano, what is the topic tonight?
I have the Tweet 10 ways Andre Johnson will try to get traded.
From the Texans. Beautiful.
Correct.
We'll also talk about the Yanks' downfall as well. That is next.